Hello and warm welcome to today's webinar titled The Modern Document Management Challenge. My name is Tanya and I'm leading marketing here in Espire Infolabs. I'll be your host for today's presentation. Before we dive into this session, I would like to quickly go over a few housekeeping tips to help everyone get the most of the webinar. For the best experience, we recommend using laptop or desktop. This will give you full access to all the features and make the visuals easier and to follow. Feel free to engage with us throughout the session. You can use the chat to share your thoughts and comments, and you're most welcome to use the chat for question answer segment as well. We will be sharing the presentation slides and recording within 3 days of the session. Please join the conversation and feel free to post on LinkedIn and Twitter. Also, after the session, we will be sharing a short feedback survey link. We'll really appreciate if you share it, take a minute and fill it out for us. Keep an eye on the chat section for any of the links and the resources. Quick reminder, you will be unmuted during the session unless you are speaking. If you run into any technical issues, feel free to message us. What to expect from this session? Let's give a quick overview of what you can expect from this session. We will start by diving into some of the real world challenges around document chaos, something that affects teams across every industry. Our expert will unpack the common pain and share their insights on why this problem persists in many digital workspaces. From there, we will explore proven strategies to streamline your workflow using tools like Microsoft 365, CRM platforms, and there will be question and answer live session. Finally, we'll wrap up with actionable takeaways. So stay with us. Key takeaways: identify hidden productivity drains, transform SharePoint into complete DMS, master effortless document search and access, optimize CRM costs while improving access, integrate with business critical apps. Let's meet our speakers. Now, I'm excited to introduce the incredible speakers who joined us. First of all, we have John. John Rockcliffe is Sales Engineering Manager, UK and Ireland, d.velop. John is an experienced technologist who has driven business changes for over 15 years, leading technical, customer-focused teams and providing information management consultancy to enterprises large and small. Next joining us is Neeraj Sapra, Associate Director, Espire Infolabs. Neeraj is a technological leader with more than 15 plus experience in designing and implementing enterprise solutions across SharePoint, Office 365, and Microsoft Azure. Finally, we are pleased to welcome Mr. Hani Mehta, Associate Director, Espire Infolabs. Hani is a seasoned technology leader with more than a decade and a half experience driving meaningful business change through technology. He has led technical and customer-centric teams across multiple domains. We are honored to have such a strong panel with us. Each speaker will share their insights during the session. You will also get a chance to engage with them during question and answer. With that, I would like to hand over to Neeraj to open the session.
Yeah, thank you, Tanya. Thank you. So I think before we jump into our webinar content, I thought it would be a good idea to introduce Aspire also, since some of you may not have heard about Aspire before. So Aspire is pretty old company, 25 years old company. We are present in almost 12 countries. We are a technology provider company, and we have working across different industries. Obviously, document management systems, Salesforce, CRM, all of these are the areas which we work predominantly. Thank you. And so, yeah, I think let's quickly move into the real topic of today's webinar. The real cost of document inefficiency. So So there's a term called swivel chair syndrome. You may heard about that term. So basically, the term say that individuals are forced to manually transfer between different data centers or systems. We are using different CRM tools these days, SAP, ERP tools, Outlook, SharePoint, Word, and we all know that we end up storing one document in different places, right? So that result into inefficiency, errors, and frustration. So that the main challenge with this syndrome is that when we have our content in multiple places, we always struggle that is this a valid document? Is it a valid version? So let's say if I need to study about that HR policy and I search something, I may get one version in my OneDrive, one version in my SharePoint, maybe one version in my CRM option, one in ERP. So there's always a challenge there, right? And then also this common question we all get that where should I save my document? Shall I save in my locally? Shall I save on OneDrive? Shall I share on Teams? Which platform I use? So this is the main challenge which we all face these days. That so many document storage tools we have right now. Where should we store and how to find the information? So obviously, this is not just a normal pain points, right? So everything we do has some kind of a impact on the organization level. So we call hidden costs of inefficiency. So these are reputed studies by McKinsey. We say that usually everyone spend almost 16 minutes to 20 minutes to find right document information, and they may end up finding old version or new version, and a lot of valuable time got wasted if they don't know which is the right document, right? So 20% of the work week spent searching for internal information, right? So people search in Outlook, all that stuff. So a lot of time we spend only to find right information and to find the right content. So, so this is a study which says that traditionally or in general, 7,000 to 11,000 pound uh, companies or employees are kind of, let's say, efforts gone wasted just to find information or working on duplicate content, right? So, and make sure that our documents are compliant also. So, and they are not just the like monetary costs, there's soft costs also involved with inefficiency, right? So let's say if you don't find relevant document, you lose trust in system. So we've seen this a lot of time that people end up saving documents locally. They said, okay, I don't know what happened to my documents. Let me store this locally. And then compliance risk, especially now the failure to prevent fraud act is in place from in UK right now, right? So every organization need to make sure that they implement all of these failures of fraud prevention measures. Otherwise, there will be huge liabilities that company need to pay, right? So this will make that we need to, as organizations, need to be compliant with all of this data. And obviously, if you don't find the data, there's always a frustration, poor decision making. So there's a lot of soft costs and hard costs involved if you don't find the solution, right? But how do I know that I have a problem, or as a IT guy or as a business user, how do I know? So there are some warning signs which we can see that uh, would tell us this is a problem right now going on, right? So let's say if user say I can't find the document, or where should I store my documents, or if you see the documents are storing with different names, right? We've seen those funny names that final version 2, final, really final, which means that instead of saving one document version, people end up saving 10 different document version with different names, right? And then you have duplicate documents in CRMs, in ERPs, in Outlook, in SharePoint. So that's the typical warning sign we see that we have a problem and we need to address that, right? So I think I will discuss the problem now. So now we need to see, obviously we have a solution. We know the problem. So now let's move forward. I hand it over to my colleague John here to discuss
Great.
what options we have here. Yeah, thank you. Over to you, John.
Thanks, Niraj. Yeah, and as Niraj has said, the main problem caused and one of the factors is that the thinking behind storage just hasn't evolved in line with other systems, and the data that we're storing in the modern enterprise is growing, and actually unstructured content is growing 4 times faster than any other content in the business. As Niraj has said, users typically have so many different places to store information, whether that is the traditional filing cabinets, whether those filing cabinets are digital filing cabinets, or even cloud-based filing cabinets. And the problem is the way these systems are architected is they become silos of information. And those silos aren't just within storage infrastructure, they're within the other applications that we use. So many times information is kept in people's outlooks, critical emails, critical notifications, but also critical documents are locked away in people's inboxes. And then when we look at the systems that people use, whether that is within the Microsoft estate with Dynamics, or whether it's with applications like SAP or Salesforce or any other application, typically these enterprise applications offer some level of file storage. But again, that file storage is typically siloed within that application per object, or even within the Microsoft suite. Dynamics file storage is not accessible outside of Dynamics. So this is why we've got this swivel chair syndrome that's happening so often, is because people don't know where to store things. So let's talk about how we can, or one way in which we can solve this problem. So in the UK and globally, so many businesses use the Microsoft ecosystem and SharePoint. So if we just put SharePoint at the center of our storage architecture, then all of these disparate platforms can start referencing a single source of truth. However, this is great, but SharePoint can't do this alone. And that's where d.velop, the company that I work for, this is where we come in, and we can, with our over 30 years of experience providing document management systems, can provide a little assistance to SharePoint to meet this need. Niraj, if we can go on to the next slide, please. So if we focus on using the basis of Microsoft 365 and SharePoint, we can then overlay that with some technology from d.velop that helps connect the SharePoint ecosystem to the other applications that you have to provide better file management and additional business metadata into that system, over which we can start overlaying user applications like contract management and invoice processing applications. Again, Niraj, next slide, please. So Microsoft 365 and SharePoint provides the baseline for a great document management system. It provides file storage, versioning, check-in, check-out, etc. But when it comes to actual connecting with business systems, that's where SharePoint and the SharePoint ecosystem falls down. In which case, d.velop can bring in better metadata controls into the Microsoft 365 platform, with allowing businesses to create file plans based upon data of how documents and files should be stored within SharePoint. And then, of course, many tools to then allow that file storage to integrate with line of business applications that you use. So whether that is the likes of things like Outlook and Office, which again are currently disconnected from SharePoint, let's connect them together. And then also your ERP systems and your other business systems that drive your business forward, but providing, as we've said, that integration so that SharePoint can truly be the center of your document management vision for your company. Again, Niraj, next slide. Thank you. So in short, that is exactly what we're about to show you. We're going to show you a system where we have a fully integrated Microsoft 365 environment where SharePoint connects to business systems and business data. It is integrated into your applications that your users use, things like Outlook and Teams and Microsoft Office, and making sure that SharePoint can really be at the center of a new document management strategy for your business, so that users have clarity when it comes to storing information, but also unstructured content, digital files and documents can then be connected with your business systems. So with that, Niraj, I hope you don't mind, can I take the screen? And I think it's probably wise we show some live software.
Yes,
so let me share my screen, and hopefully you can see a lovely SharePoint site with a bit of a green header on there. Great stuff. Okay, so in front of me on the screen is SharePoint, and this looks like SharePoint. It is SharePoint, but obviously it's got a design that we've put on there. Now, this SharePoint environment has been installed with d.velop's system. So what that provides is a few ways that the user can get to documents and content that SharePoint doesn't normally have. So for instance, I have a number of searches here that I can perform. So rather than saying, well, where does something exist? Where does the file exist that I'm looking for? We can now start using a data context. I can search for a file that I need based upon some data that I know about the business. So here I'm going to search for one of my customers. And when I select that customer, up pops the d.velop Center for SharePoint. And what this provides me is a taxonomy for SharePoint, looking at the documents in SharePoint related to the data that flows through my business, very much like you would in a CRM system or any other data system available. So searching against this customer provides me the opportunities that my team has worked against this customer, provides me sales orders, the various agreements. And as I navigate through this, you'll see on the right hand side the documents that we're storing in SharePoint are filtered and sorted based upon the customer I've searched for and the type of document or the transaction that I'm selecting. All of this content is natively stored in SharePoint, and even as you open things like other documents, you'll see that there could also be other related information that might be useful for me to see as I do my job, as I'm looking at this particular file. So all of this is completely dynamic and completely customizable based upon how your business operates and what you'd like to see inside SharePoint. So to give you another example, let's go and search for, this time, a supplier. So I'll open up my supplier Wesson, and you'll see again a similar interface, but this time a different structure showing me the supplier's information and the various transactions we have on with this supplier, including a list of all of the purchase orders that they've ever made with me. And again, as I click one of these purchase orders, I can see the purchase order. I can see potentially other related information, such as the invoice that's been used to pay. Now, this is all well and good for a user in SharePoint, but as we said at the beginning, we don't want to create a swivel chair scenario. We want to connect users wherever they work. So I'm going to give a couple of examples. So first, let's look at a user that might be working in Microsoft Dynamics. So a user in Dynamics, maybe someone in a finance team might be looking for certain transactions. They might be working a particular transaction within this system, and they want to see the documents. So we can open up the documents and we get that same view back into SharePoint, into that structure, showing the document that they need, but also all of the other related content. So we're taking that simple view of the information that's being stored in the business, and we're allowing that user to get to that information in potentially many ways. Now, of course, not all users work in Dynamics, so let's take a look at another example as well. So here we've got Outlook, and you'll see within Outlook on the right hand side I have a toolbar that allows me to get to that same SharePoint structure, or the multiple structures that I might have access to in the business. So my structure for sales, my structure for my suppliers as well. This time, rather than navigating through the many vendors that I might have access to, I actually have a favorite vendor here. This is a vendor that maybe I manage as a user. So I'm able to get very quickly to the information I need to do my job very quickly from inside Microsoft Office. So again, I could open up any one of these categories and natively open any of these documents straight from this interface. But you'll also notice that we have an email here. So sometimes critical emails need to be stored against your, within a document management system, especially if it is evidence of something or some key piece of information that may help my team do their job. So again, what we're going to do to save this in SharePoint, rather than swivel chairing between systems, it's a simple case of dragging and dropping that email into the storage area directly from within Outlook, and we have that email stored. It couldn't be simpler. This is a very quick example of how we can use SharePoint at the center of our storage architecture, and we enable a view straight into that SharePoint site and those sites using connected metadata with all of our business systems, whether that is line of business systems like Microsoft Dynamics or productivity suite like Outlook. So let me.
Thank you. Thank you, John. So I think I think this is quite helpful to know, John. I think obviously, so we are not changing the DMS system here. It's still the SharePoint. It's just we're creating a rep on top of that to get information quickly, faster, accurate from different tools like Dynamic CRM or Outlook or your native SharePoint, right? So I think I now hand it over to my colleague Hani to discuss more on the Salesforce side or CRM side, right? The challenges we face on the CRM, because the same problem we face in the CRM world also, not just in the SharePoint world. So let me quickly go to slides and then over to you, Hani.
Yeah, thank you, Neeraj. Right. Yeah, with CRM world, like whether it's Salesforce, HubSpot, there are many CRMs, and they often go towards using their own file storage, which obviously sitting in a siloed manner. It's not accessible to many of the other departments. And in itself, when some CRMs are using those storages, there comes with some price. They are quite expensive. For in terms of like Salesforce, based on our experience, industry experience, whenever we see that Salesforce has got integration with Salesforce files, it comes with the expensive cost. And obviously it has a limited storage. If you will go towards in expanding it, Salesforce going to charge you a bit more, which is quite a good amount of money. And then it comes with the basic workflows. It has a little bit of compliance and retention, but again, it requires a lot of customization to get to that point. And then limited metadata around those documents, because obviously those are sitting in siloed, doesn't come with a lot of features as you probably would see in any DMS. And also like it's within the Salesforce or within the HubSpot. It doesn't go out for the collaboration with some other system where you have a lot more documents. So with not just Salesforce but other CRMs, what CTOs or CIs are basically doing, they are looking for some alternates, and that alternates are actually leading them in finding a cost-effective solution. Most likely they go towards Azure Blob, Google, Azure, AWS. And obviously, some of them are using DocuSign. And based on our experience, industry experience, we have seen that like they go towards that, but they hit the bottlenecks, they hit the deadblocks, because there is a lot of challenges there sitting and waiting for them to hit their technical solutioning. When it comes to real-time editing in Azure Blob or any other integration of storage with the CRMs, there are no real-time editing. So often they end up in downloading those documents, creating multiple versions offline, and they upload it, and then it becomes chaotic from there. There is no version control. If some companies are deciding to develop some versioning control on top of it, it ends up in a lot of customization, which is again increases the cost for maintenance at the end. Sharing and permissioning. Yes, so if you're using the Salesforce or any other native CRM technologies, they comes with the sharing and permission comes with along with that. But if they are looking for a cost-effective solution, they have to sacrifice all of those out-of-box features, and then it becomes again a different custom implementation, again increasing the maintenance cost. Audit trials, same thing with the compliance and GDPR, scalability, and the maintenance efforts. And whereas we have seen whenever we are talking about d.velop with Salesforce, it brings a lot more value, which you can see on the screen. That is clicking up all of the tick boxes, which are the challenges in finding alternate solution for any other CRMs. But why not d.velop, where d.velop is clicking up all of those tick boxes. So yeah, that's my experience. That's something right now happening in the industry, and this is how various clients are looking for moving towards develop or similar solutions which can provide a better outcomes with a minimal spending. Yeah, yeah. Over to you, Neeraj. I think you're on mute, but
Thank you, Honey. Thank you, Honey. So I think, yeah. So thanks for raising the issues here. So I think let's discuss with John now what the solution he has in place. So how d.velop can solve this problem. Yeah, over to
Great.
you, John.
Thank you. So I suppose gave a sneak preview in the previous demonstration about being able to connect, use this infrastructure to connect through to things like Dynamics, but that also rings true when we talk about Salesforce. So d.velop, we are a Salesforce partner, which means that really we can become the document storage layer for Salesforce. So again, why is that needed? And Niraj, Honey, you've mentioned this. So the main problem that I have is that Salesforce's storage architecture is a siloed architecture. So if you save something in Salesforce CRM against an opportunity, you can't see that if someone is looking at the account. So what happens? People duplicate content. Storage is expensive. We end up paying a lot for duplication. We've also completely lost control of all of that information. So what we do with d.velop is we provide that document storage layer for Salesforce, allowing for us to reuse that data within Salesforce to automatically save and store documents in our system with very minimal impact for the user. But then further on to that, Salesforce Flows, which is their workflow engine, we have native integration capability between Salesforce Flows and d.velop documents. So what does that mean is that suddenly Salesforce can start being document aware in its workflow. So as things happen in Salesforce, those interactions, user interactions, can start automating things with documents. And that goes even one step further when we look at, the new world. Obviously, we've got Agentforce this week and Dreamforce I instantly forgotten. In America, I've completely forgotten the city, but we've got their big conference where they're talking about AI and Agentforce. That's great. Agentforce is brilliant with Einstein and automations through Agentforce. But those engines within Salesforce can only interact with the data in Salesforce. They are completely blind to data that lives within inside documents. And again, that's where d.velop can come in with that integration with our AI platform that is document aware. So we can start creating a very tight integration between Salesforce and our unstructured content, which would live in d.velop, and start treating those documents as one cohesive strategy when we look at Salesforce. And if you would like to click through, again, just onto the next part of that slide, I think we've gone backwards there. There we go. So the other part of that slide is obviously that d.velop layer can also interact with SharePoint. So we can have SharePoint as the storage layer for Salesforce. There we go. And also that can provide connectivity, as we've seen, all through to other enterprise applications. So we're not necessarily having multiple instances of storage, but we're using d.velop as one enterprise layer for important document and file storage that can connect through to any business application that our users use. And with that, I'm happy to take back control and show how that might work in a live scenario. So again, I'm going to take the screen. And hopefully this time, rather than seeing a lovely SharePoint interface, you can see Salesforce. So here we've got Salesforce. What I'm going to do is, again, just a simple demonstration. Let me open one of my opportunities that I have access to in Salesforce. So anyone that uses Salesforce would hopefully be familiar with this interface and would know that in Salesforce, there is the ability natively to store files. What we've done at d.velop is we have kept that same file dialog, but this time when we click through to those files, we'll see that those files are actually stored within d.velop, and we're giving users additional functionality through our document management system with extra capabilities that allow people to, again, see documents in context, look for other transactions, but also get access to advanced features, such as, for instance, here I've got a quote on the screen. I can ask questions of the document. We have a prompt catalog that gives users easy access to common questions, but you can also ask specific questions, such as what is the delivery time? Oh, if I could spell time, there we go. So you've got the ability, as you would do within, with modern AI platforms, to start asking natural language questions to provide insight from documents. Now, this is all well and good. We have a quotation stored against an opportunity record. If another user would look at the account, so I've switched from the opportunity to the account, Salesforce users would know that this object would actually have, in a regular instance of Salesforce, a completely separate storage area. So that quotation would not be visible. Well, here, because of d.velop's connected storage, we can see we have access through to that quotation, just like we had against the opportunity, but we also have access to other information as well, including things like the master contract, some emails, and of course, like we did in our world of Microsoft SharePoint, sometimes it's not just about showing, getting access to one object, but seeing how data relates together. So giving the user more of that traditional folder interface so they can browse between the structure, they can look at the information in the context of how that account record appears in Salesforce. So this is just a very very high level demonstration of how the basic connectivity works. So d.velop, using our connectivity both with SharePoint and other business applications to provide that kind of single source of truth when it comes to looking for information and having information at the fingertips of your users, no matter whether they are in a business application like Salesforce or Microsoft Dynamics, or if they're looking, within inside Microsoft Office, Outlook, or even SharePoint. So, of course, for anyone within the webinar, and I'm sure Niraj will say, we're more than happy to go down further. We can talk for hours on this subject. But back over to you, Niraj, to wrap up the webinar.
Thank you, John. So, Honey, what's your take on that? I know you're interacting with a lot of end users who are using Salesforce or CRM. So, do you think this will help them, or how these kind of tools are really important in today's world? I think, Honey, sorry, on mute.
Oh yeah, common problem every day on a Teams call. Yeah. So it's an everyday struggle for a lot of users, I would say, of business people in managing documents, especially when it comes to CRM, like huge like CRMs like Salesforce, because they have been heavily invested in Salesforce, whereas the DMS becomes their least priority. But later on, they realize that, okay, this is an investment worth putting up, because there are a lot more value they get out of it by putting up just a minimal investment out of it. With this d.velop in Salesforce, we have seen a drastic change where the collaboration becomes really, really easy. That's one part of the solution. And obviously, no other system are siloed. If there are various systems, can be brought down into a d.velop, and that's something adds up a value. And these are two takeaways I would say that definitely sits into the solutioning which we are discussing about here.
Yeah, thank you, Honey. Yeah, traditionally, when we obviously as a IT guy or as a CIO or CTO normally see, okay, yeah, it looks all good, but I don't have big budget right now. I can't implement a new DMS system. I already invested a lot of time in SharePoint or Salesforce or Dynamics or SAP, so I can't have a new system right now. So do you think it is a big IT project, Honey, to implement this kind of work, or it can be done quickly?
Yeah, it can be done fairly quickly. If you can move to the next slide. In here, what we are saying is like start with the assessment of your current setup, whether you're using SharePoint or any other DMS which is going out of the support, or maybe if you're using different CRM, Salesforce Dynamics. And by assessing that system, understanding your needs, that phase can be completed within just few days. I would say like less than 5 days. Once it's concluded, we can come up with the best suitable solution for and how it will work on the ground and what sort of a business value we're going to bring. And once that is all settled, the business case is raised, approved, and agreed. The implementation is quite fast. It will take less than 1 month. Even in few weeks, in some cases, it just takes few weeks, even less than 1 month.
Yeah, that sounds really interesting. Like it's not like a big project, and I'm sure license cost is also very minimal if I compare with SharePoint or Salesforce cost. So this is like a very quick win-win for every company who want to structure their content, right, and to get best value of the DMS system. Yeah, I
Yeah,
think so. Yeah,
low
sorry.
investment, quick returns. That's what you're gonna help with.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Honey. So I think we have quickly go over a Q&A section. Tanya, if we have any questions, happy to answer, or even we can take offline. Any questions, happy to answer offline.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone, for this extremely good session and learning. So, if anyone has a question, can raise your hand, and our speakers can.
I think we
Yeah,
have
I
one
think.
question. Yeah, we have one question. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think I can just ask the question, and then maybe John, you can answer that question. So,
Sure.
so how does d.velop ensure that consistency in data and governance across multiple systems? Like SharePoint, CRM, ERP. So, how does we ensure that we have consistent data and governance in place?
Yeah, so from my point, that's entirely the point of using a platform like d.velop. So it is really important to reuse that enterprise data that we already have within business systems to provide structure and consistency when it comes to file storage. So what we want to do with the d.velop platform is actually, like we saw in SharePoint with all of those structures are actually created because there's data in another system, and that structure is created automatically when users, when those transactions are created in your ERP systems or your CRM systems, the storage infrastructure is automatically created. So there's this inherent tie between the unstructured world where we're storing files and the structured world within our systems. So that consistency in data is there, from the outset. When it comes to governance, obviously governance is a large topic, but really where you're running your business rules when it comes to information security, data retention, but also kind of secure destruction, ensuring compliance with things like GDPR. This again is where having a system like d.velop really helps, because you've then got one data policy across your structured data and your unstructured files in which to manage. And because we have that overarching control over the unstructured world, it's very easy to identify, where we have gaps, where there are risks, but also ensure that where we do need to take action, like apply a retention policy, we do so with both sets of data within the business.
Yeah. Thank you, John. So, any other questions, Tanya, we have? I guess that's the question we have. So, yeah, I think, Tanya, we
That's the
can
only question.
conclude. Yeah, over to you.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Neeraj. Thank you, John, and thank you, Honey. We are extremely thank you for all of you for taking out the time and listening to us. As promised, we will be sending you the recording of the webinar within 3 days via email. Till next time, thank you.
Yeah. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank
very
you,
much.
everyone. Right.
Yeah.
I love you, Dad. Bye.